So just as I was about to sit down to do this video to cover this blatant lie in a Washington Post article that I read earlier in the week, I Googled it so I can show you the article. And there was another very similar article written that contained another lie about AI. But before we get to the second article, here's the article that contains the first lie. It's an article about the growing movement, warning about the extinction threat of AI. So it explains a little bit about content creators who are beginning to speak about this. And then it makes this claim. Here's where the lie is. So it says, most AI experts in academia and industry say there's no scientific support for claims of imminent danger to the entire species, arguing that the doomsday forecasts overestimate existing technology and underappreciate the complexity of the real world. Now, regardless of this argument here, which can rest on its own merits, this claim here, the claim that most AI experts say there's no scientific support for claims of imminent danger to the entire species, that is a flat out lie. There's no evidence given in this article that most AI experts deny the extinction threat of AI. And so do we actually have any surveys that ask AI experts what their views are on this? Well, luckily we do. So we have this survey from 2024, which asks thousands of AI experts their views on various issues about the technology. So one of the questions they ask, what probability do you put on future AI advances causing human extinction or similarly permanent and severe disempowerment of the human species? The median answer was 5%. There's a 5% probability that that happens. The mean answer is 16.2%, right? So AI experts are not dismissive of this risk at all. They think there's a very real probability that literally everyone on Earth could die. Another question, what probability do you put on human inability to control future AI systems causing human extinction or similarly permanent and severe disempowerment of the human, I think it was meant to say species at the end here, but it doesn't. The median answer they give is 10%. The mean answer they give is about 20%, right? So they're not dismissive of this at all. The claims in that article from the Washington Post are complete bullshit. So it's also useful to look at the views of the most cited experts in the field. So this is Yoshua Bengio. He's the most cited AI researcher. He's also the most cited living scientist of any field. And he is incredibly worried about the threat of human extinction. He has been warning about this for about 3 years now.
With ChatGPT, I realized that things were moving a lot faster than my colleagues and I had anticipated. And the things that I was playing with would have sounded like science fiction a few years before. I knew about some of the arguments about AI safety, but I didn't take it seriously until I started thinking about the future of my children and my grandchild who was there with me, and thinking that they might not have a life in 10, 20 years. Because we didn't know, and we still don't know, how to make sure powerful AIs will not harm people, will not turn against us. It is these emotions, love, not fear, that made me decide to dedicate the rest of my life to try to mitigate those risks.
The second most cited AI researcher of all time is Geoffrey Hinton, and he thinks that there is, again, a real threat of human extinction here. Stuart Russell, the man who wrote the AI textbook, the leading textbook that is used in universities to teach students about AI, he says we're playing Russian roulette with an AI arms race and it risks human extinction. One useful resource we can look at here is the Wikipedia page on P-Doom, so the probability of extinction from AI. So Yoshua Bengio, who we mentioned, thinks there's a 20% chance of human extinction. Geoffrey Hinton's personal opinion is that there's a greater than 50% chance of human extinction. Most of the leaders of the AI companies themselves are even saying that this does pose an extinction risk. So Dario Amodei's at 10 to 25%. Sam Altman says it's not zero, that it does exist. And so does Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind. Elon Musk of XAI has been warning about this for a very long time. He thinks there's a 10 to 30% chance. And then you have some predictions from the likes of Max Tegmark, Roman Yampolsky, and Eliezer Yudkowsky that are saying it's a near certainty that if we build super intelligent AI, everyone will die. In the interest of fairness, you do have some people on this page who have said that there's a 0% chance of human extinction from AI, that it's not going to happen. One of them is Mark Andreessen, who, as we've mentioned in other videos, has lied repeatedly to the US government to downplay the risk of AI, downplay its misalignment, because he wants no regulation. Now, one genuine expert in AI, Yann LeCun, who is the third godfather after Yoshua Bengio and Geoffrey Hinton, he has said there's a less than 0.01% chance, and he was formerly the chief AI scientist at Meta. So when people in industry are telling us these things, you have to be very skeptical, right? Just as if a tobacco executive told you that, yeah, I think there's a very low chance that smoking causes cancer. And Yann LeCun has been laughably wrong about many things in AI. Back in 2023, Yann LeCun made the very absolute prediction that no large language model, even GPT 500, I think he said, no large language model would ever understand that if you place an object on top of a table and you move the table, that the object would move with the table. And then GPT-3, GPT-4 could easily answer that question. So Jan LeCun has been wrong about a lot, and he is one of the only experts in AI that is willing to come out and say that there is no threat here. So again, back to the original claim, saying that most AI experts say there's no scientific support for the risk of human extinction is bullshit. It's a complete and utter lie, and the Washington Post should be ashamed of themselves that they have run this dismissal of a very real threat, sticking our heads in the sand, not acknowledging this threat, lying about what the actual expert opinion is, threatens all of us, and it makes it less likely that governments are going to be able to regulate this technology in time. Now, you may ask yourself, why would the Washington Post lie about something like this to downplay the risks of AI? Well, the Washington Post are partnered with OpenAI. They have been for about a year now. Whether or not this is intentional, whether or not OpenAI are telling them to do this kind of stuff, it's unlikely. But the fact remains that if the author of this article had different beliefs, had beliefs that AI was dangerous, then maybe it would be less likely that she would be in a position to write this article. And so, as I said, just as I was about to record this video, I saw another article from the Washington Post pop up talking about a similar thing, talking about the reaction to the AI revolution. But I want to focus on the claim that they make here. So they talk about Bernie Sanders, who is one of the few US politicians that is taking this risk seriously. Huge credit to Bernie Sanders, who is I think he's the oldest person in the US Senate. Bernie Sanders proposed a moratorium on data center construction for various reasons, but one of his main motivators here is that he has listened to the experts. He's spoken with Jeffrey Hinton, he's spoken with Eliezer Yudkowsky, and he is very worried about AI becoming more intelligent than us, taking over control of the world and killing us all. And Bernie Sanders makes a very good point that if you walk into a sandwich shop, it's regulated for health and safety. They can't sell you a sandwich that's got poison in it. They have to know what their ingredients are, and they need to make sure that they are not harming the people that buy their sandwiches. In contrast to AI, which is basically completely unregulated. And that's insane. I completely agree with Bernie Sanders there. But then the Washington Post make the claim that this is not reflective of reality because existing consumer protection law, agency enforcement, and 3 successive administrations worth of executive action already govern the technology. AI is certainly not unregulated. So this is true. There are laws that apply to AI companies as they apply to every other industry. But the point that Bernie Sanders is making is that there is no specific regulation that forces AI companies to make sure their models are safe. Right now, an AI company can train and release a model that can help someone to create a bioweapon, that can hack into critical infrastructure, that can start a recursive self-improvement loop, escape human control, and literally kill us all. That's what the experts are warning us about. And that is completely legal. There is no law that stops them from doing that, which is fucking insane. So as we mentioned earlier, Dario Amodei thinks there's literally a 10 to 25% chance that his technology will kill everyone on the planet. Can you imagine if the owner of a sandwich shop said, yeah, we don't really know what our ingredients are made of. They might be food, they might be poison, but we're just going to make these sandwiches and sell them anyway. I think there's like a 25% chance that they could kill the people that eat it. The government would say, you're not allowed to do that, right? You are not allowed to sell people a product that you admit has a 25% chance of killing them. You need to understand what your ingredients are. You need to make sure that they're not harmful. And only then, once you've done that, once you comply with government regulation, that's when you're allowed to sell your sandwiches. But the case with AI companies right now is they're training these massive neural networks that they don't even understand, right? Dario Amodei himself has said they only understand 3% of how their models work. And they have nothing resembling a solution to the alignment problem, and yet they are barreling ahead anyway, when they admit there's a 25% chance it could fucking kill everyone. The article goes on to make this distinction between 2 ways of governing AI, right? So it says one approach treats unfamiliarity as a reason to slow progress or ban new technologies outright. The other applies existing law, adds targeted rules where needed, and allows beneficial innovation to scale. To paint this as a battle between the reasonable people who understand the benefits of the technology and want to seize them while mitigating the risks versus the stupid Luddites who just want to shut everything down. That dynamic does exist with some technologies, right? We see, for example, with nuclear power plants, they are hugely beneficial. The downside of them is minimal. Yes, there is a small risk of disaster when it comes to nuclear power plants, but those problems are manageable, they are controllable. And the opposition to nuclear power plants has worsened climate change. That is a real case where irrational opposition to technological progress has worsened our lives. AI is wholly different from this. The stated goal of all frontier AI companies is to build AI models that are better than every human at everything. And meanwhile, they admit that they have no idea how to control their systems once they are better than us at everything. They have no idea how to align their values with our own. And they're all on record saying that that could literally kill us all, right? This is a completely new technology. It is different, and we need to think about it in a different way. For the author of this article to frame his position as the reasonable one and the position of those who want to pause AI development as the irrational one, that is absurd, because if you actually listen to what the most cited AI experts are saying, they are in favor of serious international regulation to mitigate the threat of extinction from AI. And you, in your article, have completely ignored that. You have pretended that AI is more regulated than it is, and that is irresponsible. And unsurprisingly, some of the AI industry super PACs were very pleased to see this line in here, because AI risk denialism in mainstream media is becoming increasingly difficult to find as serious journalists are beginning to listen to the experts. They are taking their arguments seriously. They are beginning to understand that we are on track to build AI models that are better than us at everything before understanding how to control them. And everyone, whether you're a journalist or not, whether you're an expert or not, we can all understand that that is an incredibly dangerous position to put ourselves in, and it could kill us all.